Hello, thank you so much for joining me. This is episode 99 of the Oikos Family Podcast, and I'm Sonja Wood. And in episode 97 and 98, I have been focusing on this particular word, shine, and also just sprinkling in some hope there. And now in today's podcast, I have some things to share with you that might not necessarily make you feel like shining, but it is our reality and it's the facts. So I'll get those out the way and then I'll talk to you some more. So the facts are that the prices of everything is going up. Well, that's not news to anybody, I'm sure. Everything is going up all the time. But I never find it a happy thing or a comfortable thing to do to put the prices up of all the resources on the Oikos online store, because I'm constantly trying to find ways to keep the costs down, keep them down. And in actual fact, through the year of 2021, we were finding every which way possible to keep the cost down. And do you know, even some of our suppliers were supporting us in that they weren't putting the prices up. They were saying, okay, let's see what we can do together to keep the prices down as much as we can, or keep our expenses down, let me say. Anyhow, in spite of all of that attempts and effort and everybody's best, the realities are the realities, and we just cannot keep up with the increasing costs. And last week, I heard about the price of paper going up, and then the next day it was the price of all the courier fees, and then the next day it was like, whoa, wait a minute. It was like day after day, it was the next announcement of prices going up. And so I've sat and had a good long hard look at the whole situation and realized there is no way for us to not do a price increase on the Oikos store of all the products. I mean, when I say all, what we have always done over the years is we have a look at every single item on its own, and we see how much we cannot put the increase there on that particular item. So if one item's got a slightly better wiggle room than another, then we look at each one individually. So we don't just go across the board and say, okay, there's a price increase of 15%, done. Now, I hope you didn't fall over when I said 15%, but that is what it's looking like, because what I can tell you is our importing, shipping, transport, logistics, all of that price has increased by 22%, just crazy. Our printing prices have increased by 15%, which is also crazy. I mean, I think, 5% and 10% is a shock, but 15 and 20. So that's why I thought, okay, I'm going to have to come and speak to you in a podcast and just let you know. So this is another thing that we are doing, just an attempt to not increase those prices too much. And that is, we are going to have a 4-day week at Oikos, Monday to Thursday. Fridays, Oikos is going to be closed. Now, I'm sure you can understand why and what that is. It's not easy for anybody, because now the people that help out at Oikos are going to have one less day income. And it's difficult. There's just no way around. There's no way around it. It's difficult, and that's what it is, and we're just going to have to make the most of it. The good news for you is by doing that, we're going to be able to not have incredibly, ridiculously high increase on the cost, because you see what happened is we haven't put the prices up wherever we possibly can help not put the prices up. We had to on certain items, because we were just, by the time they were on the floor at Oikos, they were costing more than what we were selling them for. And you understand that's obvious. That can't be sustained like that. So those ones, the occasional one here and there, we had to increase the price, hike it up a bit just so that we could break even or have a little bit of a margin so that we could pay the expenses. Now we've had this reality of the expenses overtaking the input, which isn't a workable plan, a sustainable plan. So the one way we have thought about how we can keep things moving, we can keep Oikos rolling, and we can keep serving and supporting you, is by us not having Fridays as a regular work day. So how that impacts you is in two ways. One, it helps our pricing structure not to be crazy, as in the increases having to be too hectic. And two, it means that on Fridays there won't be the support, as in being able to go online and send an email and get an answer or go to the chat to us. But the online store does not sleep. So that is going to remain live and active. So on Friday and Saturday and Sunday, you can do what you normally would like to do if you want to go and browse and spend time on the store. That's not going to be stopping or closing or not being available to you. You can carry on doing that. But on a Monday, we will then process the orders that were placed on the Friday. So it's going to be a little bit of a change, because you might have been used to placing your order and then instantly getting an email or, within the same day to say, thank you, we've received your order. But now you're going to place your order on Friday and you're going to hear nothing possibly until Monday. But we're looking at that as well to see what we can automate and what we can have going on in the background without us actually manually doing it. So there you have it. That is the big news of this podcast. But I don't want to leave you feeling too disturbed about the fact that I'm making announcement of expenses going up, because that's just what everybody seems to be saying. Because I know that's what I've been hearing since 2022 arrived, is this is going up and that is going up and the prices are just going up and up. So that's why I didn't want to be one of those that actually brought that news announcement to you. And here I am being just that. But what I'm going to be doing on the other flip side of that is going to just continue with bringing the podcast to you, bringing support to you wherever possible, continuing to do the videos if we can, even though we've had some severe setbacks on that. You might have listened to one of the previous podcasts where we've had some theft and some equipment was taken and so on. So we've had some big setbacks there. But we really, really believe that we need to press on. It's like what I said in the previous podcast, that we just need to believe that what we are doing is what we must continue to do. And we do believe that. We believe that we need to continue supporting you and helping you and doing whatever it is that we can to assist you in this commitment you're making to raise your children at home and educate them, and the whole family unity and relationship focus and reading aloud to your children and all those things. So on that topic, I am going to continue narrating, because getting some of these books that we've always just been able to print and distribute is becoming so difficult. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to narrate as many of them as I possibly can, so that they will be available in the form of an audiobook if it comes to be that we can't actually get them at all in the physical form. We can, we can. I'm not saying we can't at all. We can get those books, but I don't know how people would feel about spending the kind of money that needs to be spent for one of those books, and also us having to outlay what we would have to have those books in stock and so on and so forth. It's all just become a much bigger consideration than just printing and distributing. We've had to now look at things a little differently. And the one way that is looking at them differently is to just start narrating some of those books so that we know that you will be able to access them. Okay, so that's the other thing we're going to be doing, is the audiobooks. And I must just talk to you a little bit about the audiobooks, because I think some people get quite surprised at the cost of them. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about that, because to give you an idea, this is how it works. If an audiobook is an hour long, a finished book, you get an audiobook and it's going to take an hour to listen to the whole book. The making of that book was 4 times the length of the finished hour. So let's say the book is an hour long. It would have taken a minimum of 4 hours. That's when things are going well, but it's safer to say 6. So whatever the finished hour is times by 6, between 4 and 6. And that's the time that it has taken to make that book. as an audiobook, to turn it from a physical book into an audio digital book that you can then listen to. So that's the one thing. And the other thing is one needs particular kind of software and, the sort of facilities, environment, the right environment, should I say, to be able to do it in the way that it needs to be done. An example of that, in fact, is a little video that we did a video of us building our sound booth. But I was going to say an example of the importance of the environment being correct is that you need to have your sound treatment and all of that done in such a way that when you go to do the audio editing of that book that you've narrated, you don't have unusual sounds coming through the audio, like the sound of the fridge or the Adidas or an aeroplane or the crickets or somebody calling or a knock on the door or the phone ringing, and we can go on. So you've got to isolate yourself in such a way that you can narrate that book without all those extra sounds coming in and interfering with the finished product of the audiobook. And so to achieve that requires things such as building your sound booth and your microphone and your software and your editing afterwards and all those things. So because that is what we can do that, as you've obviously discovered through this pandemic, that more and more people are finding ways to do things from home. And so we have converted one of the bedrooms down the passage into a sound booth. Again, we've got a couple of short video clips of that. We'll see if we can put them into the description or show notes, whatever it is, of this podcast, so that you can go and watch those if you want to. But basically, it's been quite a journey. We've had to learn a lot along the way about, being able to narrate and create audiobooks for you so that they are easy to listen to, so that they're comfortable to listen to, so that they're a pleasure and it's pleasant. So that's what we want to do, is we want to bring you something that's a pleasure. And we can do that through this means of this digital ability to be able to create audiobooks, because we've got the books, as you know, we've got the physical book. So we just think, if we aren't able to get that physical book any further down the way, well, then we at least will have the audiobook. So that's why we are putting a focus on that, because we want to be able to keep bringing you something. And all this is not to say that we're not going to keep bringing you the physical books, because we will do our utmost. We will keep those books coming if it is possible. If we are able to, we will. If it's not possible anymore, because that's what happens, well, then we just have to move on to whatever is next and keep shining and keep doing it and keep serving. So we just feel very, very, very privileged to be able to just keep on serving. I just feel that is such a privilege to us, to have this ability to be able to keep bringing you something and keep serving and supporting you in this journey that you are on. So I do hope that you will find the podcasts, the videos, the audiobooks, and whatever physical products we are able to keep bringing you. I hope that it's going to be supportive to you. And also, you've obviously come across the digital pack of the Matthew C. When I say obviously, I mustn't presume, maybe you haven't. But Matthew C. America, who are the creators of the Matthew C. program, they introduced the digital pack, which basically there it is in the word, digital pack. So the parents can actually access those lessons digitally without having to physically have the actual book in front of them to be able to do the lessons, or have a DVD that maybe doesn't work in their computer because their computer doesn't have a DVD slot to put the DVD in anymore, or maybe they don't have a DVD player because everything's gone streaming. And so Matthew C. have made a digital pack so that the lessons can be streamed. So you see, there again, the physical book might become more and more difficult to attain. And so there's something in its place. And some people might think that's a lot better, and some people might not like it, and some might prefer the physical. And I know in my instance, in some instances, I really, really like to have the physical something. And other times I find adjusting to what is available to me opens up new doors for me. For the example of the narrated audiobooks, that we listen to a lot of audiobooks now. And I realize that there was a time that I used to do a lot of reading aloud to the children, but the children are now adults. And so now as adults, we listen to audiobooks. But in fact, we used to listen to audiobooks when the children were little, but they were special for when we were, say, going on a long road trip. We'd listen to an audiobook. We wouldn't sit and listen to an audiobook instead of me reading aloud after dinner or whatever it might be. But now the audiobooks are so available to people that if now was then, I probably very likely would have, used that opportunity to be able to have that assistance of listening to an audiobook with the family rather than me being the one that was reading it. So you see, these changes very often can actually be something very, very, very good and very positive. So I hope you will find them as such. And if you don't at the moment, I hope that you will find the silver lining. Because isn't that something we all are having to do in this time? Is just look for that silver lining. Look for it and find it. I know we've had to do that because when you do that, your focus becomes hunting for the silver lining rather than looking at the dark clouds. And in fact, hunting for the silver lining is a nice treasure hunt sometimes, and there's lots of adventures along the way. So I hope you enjoy some adventures, and I will look forward to sharing with you more, hopefully, on podcasts in the future. But for now, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for listening. And I really appreciate you taking this time to listen to this podcast, because I love to share with you and talk to you about what is happening and to encourage you in your own personal journey as well. So be blessed and keep shining. Bye for now.